Life on Death Row. Episode 1. The walls of Death Row were high, gray, and damp. They did not just hold men inside. They held voices, secrets, and tears that had no end. When the night came, it was never truly silent. One could hear whispers, groans, the scrape of chains, and sometimes a cry so raw that even the guards paused. Death Row was a village of shadows. Everyone there waited. They were not waiting for freedom. They were waiting for death. It was not the kind of waiting one did at a bus stop. It was the waiting of men whose names could be called at any moment. A waiting that drained the skin, dried the mouth, froze the heart. Every man there carried two clocks. One was inside his chest, the pounding of his heart. The other was in his mind, the thought, will they come for me tonight? The aura of waiting. Each morning began the same way. The guards walked down the corridor. Their boots thumped against the floor. Their keys rattled. And every prisoner held his breath, for the sound of the keys stopping at your door meant only one thing: tomorrow you would die. That was the law of Death Row. No warning until the day before. So men counted their lives in nights. Each night survived was a gift, each sunrise a strange miracle. But every gift came with a curse. Because the next morning, the boots might stop at your cell. The three names. Among the prisoners were three men who had become part of the story of Death Row itself. Musa, who had waited for 12 years. Chike, who had waited for 6. And Tunde, who had waited for 3. They were not friends in the usual sense. Death Row did not allow friendship. It only allowed shared sorrow. But somehow, they were bound together by fate. Everyone whispered their names. Everyone knew their time was close. Musa's call. One evening, the boots stopped. The keys rattled. Musa, the guard said. Tomorrow. The word fell like thunder. Tomorrow. The men inside their cells froze. Some pressed their heads against the wall. Some closed their eyes. Musa stood. He was tall, his face narrow, his hair already gray though he was not yet 50. He did not cry. He did not scream. He only nodded, like a man who had long known that this moment would come. That night, Death Row was so quiet that even the rats kept still. The men listened to Musa breathing, as if each breath was a sacred thing. Musa prayed aloud. His voice was deep and steady, though the words shook with pain. Forgive me if I have done wrong. Forgive those who wronged me. Give me rest. In the morning, the guards came for him. They led him away in chains. The sound of the door closing behind him was the sound of a life ending. The rest of the men sat in silence. Nobody spoke for hours. The silence after a death was heavier than the silence before. Chike's call. Weeks passed. Then came the second call. This time it was Chike. Chike, the guard said. Tomorrow. The word burned the air again. Unlike Musa, Chike broke down. He wept loudly. He banged his fists against the wall. He begged. That night, the others lay awake listening to him sob. His voice carried down the corridor, deep into their bones. He spoke to his mother, though she was not there. He spoke to his daughter, whom he had last seen as a baby. He begged the night to take him away before the morning came. But the morning still came. When they let him out, he screamed. His cries filled the prison. Some men covered their ears. Others pressed their hands against the bars, tears streaming down their faces. Then, silence. Always silence. The shadow on Tunde. After Musa and Chike, everyone knew who was next. Tunde. Tunde was younger than most. Only 28. His eyes still carried a fire, though 3 years in Death Row had dimmed it. He was quiet but observant. He listened to the guards. He watched the sky through the small barred window above his cell. He dreamed still, though his dreams ended in darkness. And then the boots came. The keys rattled. Tunde, the guard said. Tomorrow. The corridor froze. Every man held his breath. Some turned away, unable to look. Tunde sat still for a long moment. Then he slowly lifted his head. His lips trembled. His hands shook. His heart thundered in his chest. Tomorrow. The night before. That night, Tunde could not sleep. His mind was a storm. Is this the end? Will I wake tomorrow to see the sun? Will I ever hold my mother again? Will my name die with me? Is this what life was meant for, to be cut short here, in this cold place? His thoughts twisted. They ran forward, backward, in circles. He remembered his childhood, his laughter, the smell of rain on the farm, the sound of his sister's voice. He remembered the day he was arrested, the cold steel of handcuffs, the judge's voice that sentenced him. His chest rose and fell quickly. His hands clutched his knees. He whispered, God, if you know I am innocent, show it now. Don't let me die like this. But the night gave no answer. Only silence. The family visit. The next morning, they let his family come. His mother, old and bent, her face wrinkled with years of sorrow. His sister, tears in her eyes. His younger brother, jaw tight, fists clenched. They held his hands through the bars. My son, his mother whispered, her voice trembling. They say tomorrow. But God sees. God knows. Tunde wept openly. He pressed his forehead against the cold bars. His sister sobbed quietly. His brother swallowed his tears, trying to look strong but failing. They spoke of old times. Of home. Of the farm, the laughter, the stories told by the fire. Each memory was a blade, cutting deep. When the guard said visiting time was over, his mother clung to his hands until the last moment. She wailed as they pulled her away. Her cry echoed through the corridor long after she was gone. The last meal. Later, they asked him what he wanted for his last meal. He thought long. Food seemed useless now. But then he remembered Sundays at home, the smell of pounded yam and egusi soup. The laughter at the table. His mother serving with joy. That is what he asked for. When it came, he ate slowly. Each bite was heavy with memory. Tears fell into the food. He chewed, not tasting yam or soup, but the sweetness of family, the warmth of home. It was not food. It was goodbye. The final walk. Evening fell. The sun disappeared. The shadows grew. Then came the sound of boots. The guards. Tunde, they said. His heart pounded. His legs trembled. But he stood. Chains rattled on his wrists and ankles. The corridor stretched before him. Each step echoed like thunder. The prisoners reached out through the bars. Some whispered prayers. Some touched the walls, as if to pass him strength. His mind was chaos. This is it. This is the end. Is it really happening? Am I really walking to my death? His eyes burned. Sweat rolled down his face though the air was cold. The chamber. The chamber was bright. Too bright. White walls. White light. White silence. The bed waited. The straps waited. The needle waited. They laid him down. They strapped his arms and legs. The priest whispered prayers. The doctor prepared the syringe. Tunde's eyes darted around wildly. His heart screamed. Is this justice? Is this truth? Am I dying for nothing? Tears poured down his face. His chest heaved. He wanted to shout, but his voice caught in his throat. The syringe lifted. The needle shone under the light. The suspense. At that moment, the door creaked. There was a sound in the corridor. Heavy footsteps. A voice shouting. Papers rustling. The doctor's hand trembled slightly. The warden frowned. Tunde's heart raced. What is it? Who is coming? Why now, at the edge of my death? The footsteps grew louder. The shouting clearer. Something was about to happen. But what? To be continued. Who was rushing into the chamber? What news did they carry in their hands? Was it life or was it more death? Would Tunde die an innocent man, or would truth arrive at the very last second? And if truth came, would it heal the years he had lost, or would it only leave deeper scars? The answers waited in the next episode. Like and subscribe for Life on Death Row. Episode 2.